right. There was a hearing where a bunch of lib governors, really for the first time, had to face actual questions about the reality of their policy. And it went pretty much how anybody with an IQ over 70 would have thought it would have gone.
Do you know who Sakir Khan is? You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
Refresh my recollection.
Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're
These are high-profile cases.
Yes.
New Yorkers know about them, and you don't?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Raymond Rojas Basilio. Do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. I will
You don't know
explain
who
you
it
the
is.
policy.
He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car. He took her clothes off, and he violently raped her. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive.
What do you think this hearing was about, Kathy? Like, why were you called there? Who prepared you for this hearing? Joe Biden? You didn't think you were going to be asked about illegals raping, assaulting, and lighting people on fire in your state? I mean, like, what would you say you do here? I'm used to Democrats gaslighting, but this was like flat out BS. She tried to tell this panel under oath that her state does in fact cooperate with ICE, and in an answer less coherent than like that rambling debate scene from Billy Madison, Kathy Hochul tried to play dumb on her state's sanctuary policies.
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would assume you'd
policies
know
and
it's
laws.
Executive Order 1.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state
I'll
properly.
define it for you.
She went on to list off exactly what it was and what Kathy Hochul signed that she apparently... I don't know what's scary. The fact that Kathy Hochul thinks we're stupid enough to believe her politicking around the issue, or the fact that she didn't know that this was the very first executive order of the session. It's kind of like your firstborn's name. You remember that stuff, unless you didn't sign it, also like Joe Biden. But thank you, Elise Stefanik, for refreshing her memory on what she signed into law. And this is my problem with these liberals. If you believe in stuff so strongly that you're willing to sign laws to put it into effect, why won't you sit there in an open hearing and own it when you're being questioned? Oh, I know, because it leads to people getting lit on fire on a subway. Kathy Hochul, not unique here. Tim Walz actually just flat out lied about stuff in some like weird, bizarre justification that trying to spend that his policies are somehow making his state better.
Under our leadership, Minnesota has been ranked the 4th best state to live in, the 2nd best state to raise a family in, and the 3rd best state for jobs.
Nope, none of those statistics are true. In any of the data we could find, unless you exclude the 25 states ahead of him, this dude is under oath saying when in fact Minnesota's economy is ranked 28th in the country, not even in the top half, okay? Which doesn't make for a great opportunity to raise your family. During his tenure, Minnesota has also dropped from 10th to 19th in education. Couldn't imagine why. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that you're putting tampons in boys' bathrooms. Most Democrats know, or I should say, at least should have an idea, that every one of their policies suck. If they can't look at the geopolitical shifts, everybody is leaving blue states and going to red states. I wonder why, which is why they tried to dodge every question, especially J.B. Pritzker.
My great-grandfather fled the massacre of Jews in Ukraine and arrived in the United States when he was just 10, without a penny to his name.
Your dad, your great-grandfather, he had a whole story about every single person in his family, and he tried to turn the conversation into that. Nobody cares about any of that. We care about the fact that you're letting illegals kill people in your state. Don't even get me started on the fact that you look the other way while black people kill each other in Chicago every single weekend. Democrats will literally say anything to avoid the issue.
Do you agree that this illegal alien who killed Katie should never have been in the United States in the first place?
Let me also say that anyone who commits a crime in the state of Illinois...
I understand, Governor. Should that criminal have been here in the first place? Did he have a right to be in this country illegally?
If the person is a criminal of any sort, then they ought to be...
So that person had a right to be in the United States?
They ought to be given their due process rights, and they ought to be convicted.
These guys did anything they could to not answer the simple question that they were there, called for there today, which is, why are you seemingly okay with illegal aliens in your state, and why are you not helping ICE get rid of these people? Just like the other two governors that were also there. J.B. Pritzker signed something into law that directed law enforcement not to cooperate with ICE. That's why you're here. Not because of your grandfather or your brother or someone served or escaped this. I just don't know what type of mind virus has infected these people. Like, I used to really think that Democrats would basically just say anything to hold on to power. But since they just got spanked, I mean, they got shellacked in the last election. Why are they doubling down on stupid? I don't even know what they're doing anymore because it's not getting them any power. Because even CNN is pointing out the 40 point shift away from Democrats by immigrants.
Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group.
How confused he is really the funny part. No, I mean, who could have possibly seen that coming, right? Democrats have figured out how to take the wrong side in a battle of Americans versus illegals, in a war that illegals can't vote in. I mean, how stupid is that? They have effectively made this battle not about policy anymore. This is about Americans versus not Americans. Democrats have chosen the side of these pansy illegal wannabe gangbangers and the hooligans out in the streets. You guys really want to do this? Your antics of you fools out in the streets of L.A. lighting cars on fire, that might fly in liberal strongholds with politicians all but handcuffing police, where soft, non-calloused-handed, low-T men live. But you try this stuff 50 miles outside of any city, I swear, go to a place like Oklahoma or West Virginia, or how about Florida?
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
You try that in Florida, you're going to get flattened by a lifted two-wheel drive F-250. Good luck. America has lost their patience with this stuff. Try bringing that stuff to a farm town. See what happens. Can you imagine these non-binary, pink-haired, keffiyeh-wearing couch cushions? Try that around a community that makes their living off chucking hay bales onto the second floor and wrestling cattle and steer to the ground. You try that in real America, you're going to get this. You get people who are tired of it, that are willing to give a protester a 4-year degree in respect in one hit because the overwhelming bunch of America is done watching our police officers just have to stand there and get spit on and have stuff thrown at them. Real America is going to start backing these guys up. That is what is about to happen. These protests are pushing good people, like me, by the way, who just want to be left alone, and they're pushing us to fight back. And there's about 22 million veterans just like me and 100 million other lawful gun owners that have been waiting for just such an occasion as you libs are stoking with these stupid protests creating mayhem. Comprende? This kind of stuff might fly in LA and these other liberal utopias, but when you march into West Virginia where 100% of counties voted for Donald Trump because they're tired of this stuff, and the hills start singing country roads, you're going to have schools and businesses give their people a paid holiday to make a sport out of rounding you up like cattle. Let's be real clear here to these Timu cartel members and Antifa loons that are so overweight they can barely walk. You guys exist because we allow you to. You push too hard on what literal tolerance we have left, and you're going to learn a tough lesson.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.